stay calm and listen. Your husband is at the OB/GYN clinic where I work right now. I received a frantic phone call one day from my best friend who works at the hospital. I wondered what on earth my husband would be doing at the OB/GYN clinic. What do you mean? Is he there by himself? No, he came with a pregnant woman who is showing quite a bit. He doesn't have any sisters or pregnant relatives that I know of. I was suspicious. Could you be mistaking him for someone else? Maybe someone who just looks like my husband? It's definitely him. I remember his face from your wedding, right down to the position of his mole. I can't be wrong. Plus, I heard the pregnant woman calling out your husband's name. Hearing that, I told her with urgency in my voice, "All right, I'm on my way. Please watch until the end to see how this tumultuous situation unfolds. My name is Madeline, a 33-year-old working housewife. After graduating college, I got a job at a major online retailer. I'm still there, now as a team leader. It's busy, but a rewarding life. I met my husband Lance through a friend when I was 28. He worked at a small to medium-sized company. I was immediately drawn to his refreshing and kind demeanor, and we started dating. For context, he was earning around $1,400, while I made almost twice that. Even though I earned more, I was content as long as I was with him. So when he proposed, I happily accepted. We rented an apartment halfway between our workplaces and started our life together. He was great with household chores, and we enjoyed a happy newlywed life. He often said back then, "I'd love to have kids soon after we get married. I really like kids." Would you prefer a boy or girl? Either one. I'd raise a girl like a princess. And if it's a boy, I'd love to play baseball with him. Then we better start saving up. We were full of excitement for the future. About a year into our marriage, something wonderful happened. I discovered I was pregnant. "Lance, it looks like we are going to have a baby." "What? Really? Oh my gosh, Madeline!" He hugged me joyfully. I felt enveloped in happiness in his arms. We confirmed the baby's heartbeat, and he took great care of me during the tough times of morning sickness. He did most of the housework, and even went to different supermarkets to find food I craved. I always expressed my gratitude to him. "Thank you so much, honey. I really appreciate everything you do." "It's nothing, babe. You are carrying our child. This is the least I can do." I truly felt lucky to have married him. Then, tragically, at the 15-week checkup, the doctor delivered shocking news. "We can't find the baby's heartbeat." My baby had passed away inside me. When I told this to Lance, crying, he was devastated. "Lance, the baby's heartbeat isn't there." "What? Does that mean it's a miscarriage?" "Yes." In front of a speechless Lance, I broke down in tears. It was the hardest night of my life. Afterward, while I was recovering from the shock and undergoing procedures at the hospital, Lance handled all the paperwork. I couldn't get back on my feet for a while, and even took a few months off from work. I managed to do the household chores, but tears would often unexpectedly spill. Lance seemed unsure of how to help. "Madeline, let's have dinner together." "I don't want to." "But you need to eat for your health." "Just leave me alone." Looking back, I might have been at fault too. But I was in shock from losing our child and couldn't think straight. Time passed, and I gradually started to look forward again. "Lance, I'm sorry for everything. I'm okay now." I remember how relieved he looked when I told him that. It wasn't just my husband who supported me through this tough time. My best friend Bethany was also there for me. She has been my friend since high school and was working as a nurse in a nearby city, specifically in an OB/GYN clinic. She deeply sympathized with my situation and encouraged me. Don't blame yourself. These things unfortunately happen quite often. But many women have healthy babies after a miscarriage. Let's look forward again. Her words helped me find my way back, and I was deeply grateful to her. Life with Lance continued, but ever since the miscarriage, things were a bit awkward between us, and our conversations dwindled. About a year later, Lance started to get busier at work and was often away from home. He did overtime until past 10 p.m. on weekdays and worked on early Saturday or Sunday. The household chores increased, but I didn't say anything. I started to think it might be time to prepare for another baby. I began to improve my diet and take care of my body, but he didn't cooperate with my attempts to conceive. He became distant at night, turning his back to me and going to sleep. I started to feel resentful towards him. Then one day, I saw the spine of a book peeking out of Lance's open bag. The New Dad's Guide to Parenting and Baby's First Parent, the ultimate naming encyclopedia. I showed them to him when he woke up. My voice filled with excitement. Lance, you've been studying for a baby. He looked startled.
What? You looked in my bag?
It was open, and I just saw it. I'm so happy you've been thinking about it.
Yeah, I've been thinking about it.
He said that and quickly put the books back in his bag before leaving for work. I was relieved he still wanted a child. That's great. I need to keep up with my efforts, I said to myself. I became more positive and devoted myself more to household chores and self-improvement. Then, on a Saturday, when Lance said he had to work, I finished my chores in the morning and was relaxing at home when I got a call from Bethany. Why is she calling me now? As I wondered, I answered the phone and heard her voice almost panicking. Hi, Madeline. What's your husband up to? He's at work. Why? Stay calm and listen. Your husband is at the OB/GYN clinic where I work right now. What? Why on earth would Lance be at an OB/GYN clinic? I remembered she recently started working at the clinic near my neighborhood. What do you mean? Is he there by himself? No, he came with a pregnant woman who is showing quite a bit. He doesn't have any sisters or pregnant relatives that I know of. I was suspicious. Could you be mistaking him for someone else? Maybe someone who just looks like my husband? It's definitely him. I remember his face from your wedding, right down to the position of his mole. I can't be wrong. Plus, I heard that pregnant woman calling out your husband's name. Hearing that, I told her with urgency in my voice, I'm on my way. Stop them if they look like they are leaving. After hanging up, I quickly got ready and rushed out of the front door. In about 15 minutes, I arrived at the OB/GYN clinic where Bethany works. As I was catching my breath, the automatic doors of the hospital opened, and there were Lance and an unfamiliar woman, arm in arm. He, the woman, and I were now facing each other in front of the clinic. My husband's eyes widened in shock when he saw me. Lance, what is this all about? I asked as calmly as I could.
Madeline, why are you here?
That doesn't matter right now. What are you doing here with this pregnant woman at the OB/GYN clinic? I want to know that. Then, He went pale and climbed up. Passerby and hospital staff looked at us curiously. The pregnant woman clinging to him then spoke up. Let's talk about this somewhere else, not here. Who the hell are you? Introduce yourself first. I'm Rachel. Let's move to that cafe over there. As we entered the cafe, Lance naturally sat next to her. It seemed like I already had my answer right then. Lance, explain this. What the F is going on?
The baby is actually mine.
Though I was somewhat prepared, this revelation hit me like a bolt of lightning. What do you mean? I'm your wife. Please calm down, ma'am. Rachel interrupted. Who the F are you to say that? Did you get involved with him knowing he's married? Yes. Yes? So you knew he was married? She began to cry, shaking as she spoke. I started working at his company last year. As we worked together, I found myself increasingly drawn to him. And he reciprocated my feelings. Feeling dizzy, I turned back to Lance. Is what she's saying true?
Yes, it's true.
What were you thinking? He began to speak quietly as I held my head in my hands.
Well, after the miscarriage, you became prickly, and the atmosphere at home was so bad I didn't want to come back. That's when I met her.
You met her and that led to having a child?
You know I've always wanted kids, right? You might have another miscarriage. But I thought a young woman like her would definitely bear my child.
I reached my breaking point right then and there. Not only had he betrayed me, but he was also implying that it was somehow my fault. I couldn't forgive this. I no longer needed such a husband. I tried to keep my voice steady as I spoke to him. Are you saying this is my fault?
Well, yeah. You couldn't have a child after all.
And you think that justifies your affair? Rachel butted in. But a woman who can definitely have a child is better, right? You stay out of this. She looked frightened at my loud voice, while Lance glared at me, holding her shoulder.
Don't raise your voice. She's pregnant, for goodness sake.
Lance. She looked up at him, her eyes watery, totally wrapped up in their own world. Suddenly, everything seemed so ridiculous, and I calmed down. I see. You do seem very close. Fine. I will step back.
You will? Thank you, Madeline.
Thank you, Mom. I will make Lance happy. The two of them held hands and rejoiced, and I watched them with a cold eye. But Lance, you do realize you're the guilty spouse, right?
Huh? Guilty spouse? What do you mean?
He looked bewildered as I calmly explained. It means you're the one who caused the grounds for divorce. You have no objections to that, correct? A guilty spouse can't file for divorce. You do understand that, right?
What? I didn't know that. So I can't file for divorce unless you do?
That's how it works. He seemed surprised, but then tried to regain his composure.
But you just said you'd step back.
Yes, I did. But there are conditions for divorce. You have to renounce your claim to the property division.
What?
I explained that I wanted all of our joint savings, household items, and the car to be mine.
What? That's a problem. I hardly have any savings.
If you don't waive your right to the property division, I won't agree to a divorce. Rachel here will have to raise a fatherless child.
No.
They were both visibly shaken. She then glared at me with determination. Are you a devil or something? We're about to have a child, and you won't divide the property? That's not my problem. Ready to be a single mother? As I spoke condescendingly, her eyes filled with tears, and she shook Lance's arm. It's okay, Lance. Let her have the savings. We can work hard together again. Let's get rid of this evil lady and be together.
Oh, Rachel.
They seemed about to enter their own world again, but I cut in matter-of-factly. Oh, and I will be filing for alimony for the affair, of course. $50,000 each, please.
What?
If you don't waive the property division, we will settle with that. The two of them looked at me, eyes wide. Did they really think they could do all this without having to pay alimony? Surprised? That's only fair, isn't it?
But $50,000 each, that's too much.
Alimony isn't included in the property division. Make sure you have it ready.
You're already making more money than me. And still you are so greedy for money?
See whatever you want. I'm definitely filing for alimony. Rachel then blurted out. Lance, this is too much. Let's hire a lawyer and fight this.
Yeah, you better be prepared, Madeline. I will be the one to demand alimony from for emotional distress, you fool.
I scoffed at their threats. Sure, bring a lawyer or whatever you want. Let's see if you can find one who will take your ridiculous side as a guilty spouse.
What did you say?
I will see it through to the end, whether it's a trial or whatever. Do you two even have the money for legal fees? Especially with a baby on the way. My concern made them both look down, trembling. What? Do you have something to say? She yelled at me, her face smeared with tears and snot. You're evil! This is exactly the reason why he left you for me. I raised my voice even louder. I'm telling you, I'm giving you that man. If you understand, then pay up and enjoy your miserable lives together, you scum! Leaving the two of them trembling in fear, I walked out of the cafe. Eventually, my divorce from Lance was finalized. We agreed on no property division and $50,000 in alimony. Lance and Rachel apparently begged their relatives for money, but after hearing about their situation, the relatives firmly refused, and he was even disowned by his family. In the end, they had to borrow money to pay me the alimony. They tried to stay together, but they were ostracized at work and eventually fired. With a baby on the way, they both ended up jobless and in debt. Seeing their plight, Rachel's parents said they would raise a child until they could pay off their debts. They were left unable to properly raise their own child. For a man who loved children, this must have been excruciating. They now live in a rundown apartment, working day and night to pay off their debts. Bethany, who lives nearby, says their apartment is always filled with the sound of arguing. I feel no sympathy for them. Meanwhile, I moved to a new place with my alimony, and I'm living comfortably. My work is going well, and I'm set to be promoted earlier than my peers. Now I'm focused on my career and finding someone truly trustworthy.